It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't shut my brain off. This is probably the shit that Sergeant Willie Pete goes through a lot. So, um, I was watching Comedy Hype, and they was talking about the Kanye White Lives Matter shit. I've already gave my opinions on it. I still think it's bait. But I see that a lot of people a lot of people feel that way too. This is just bait. Y'all just giving them attention, all that outlast. There's a lot of people that feel like I feel. It's just like y'all giving him what he wants, which is attention. I know Charlamagne said that. There's a lot of people who's just like, you're still giving him attention. And then there's a lot of people who's just like, y'all mad, but y'all still gonna buy his shit. Y'all still gonna support his shit. He's still gonna buy out. So, but in the whole thing, because this had me thinking, and the whole thing about slavery is a choice. Now, even before, okay, I'm gonna be real with y'all. Y'all gonna like this or not, but I also believe slavery is a choice. Now, I've had debates with this, even with one of my friends on the podcast about slavery is a choice, and I look back at it, and the one thing I always like when I listen to it, I cringe at myself because I feel like I should have argued that better. And the one thing I don't regret having that conversation, but I do regret being more prepared for that conversation because I knew I was going to have that conversation with him personally, with the person I do. And my only now one thing I would say, I don't run away from a conversation. I knew I was going to have that conversation, but I wish I was more prepared for it. Looking back at it, I was like, fuck, I was not prepared for it. But at the same time, if you listen to it, they all kind of prove my point. I'll link it. If I can find it, I'll link it. But I want to, because I'm not gonna lie to you, like I fucking got I look at it and I'm like, I got my ass whipped in this debate. And because my friend is so fucking articulate, he sounds really good and I sound really stupid. Which is why it's like which is why it's on this, I need to get better at public speaking because if I'm not gonna lie, if I was doing this on like TV, like a CNN on the CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, I'd have got my ass handed to me, and I would have got my ass handed to me horribly. So, but back to this, I've always said this, and I still stand on this today. And this White Lives Matter, like it reminds me of this. Like I said, I do believe slavery was a choice. I hate that Kanye was the one that brung it up. And I was like, and a lot of people was like, well, if you believe that slavery was a choice, wouldn't you want someone like Kanye on your side? Fuck no. One thing about Kanye, and he says, I don't fucking read books. And the thing about Kanye is he just says things and then like apologizing for it later. So it doesn't make him sound credible. Everything about Kanye, when he does stuff, even when he lashed out, it's from an emotional. It's not from a logical standpoint. And plus, he was just riding Donald Trump's coattail. And this was like before I don't know when he became president or he was running for president. But this was motherfucking Kanye with the MAGA hat and him just signing Trump's. And then he was like, oh, you left liberals leaning and all that other shit. So I hate it. I told people all the time, because people ask, do you still believe slavery is a choice? I do, but I hate that Kanye was the one that, making us have this conversation is someone more articulate and more smart with their words to more or less explain it. Because if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Claude Anderson, who is very pro-black, mind you, believes the same thing. This is the one reason why I hated that Kanye said that, because image is when Kevin Samuels will tell you one thing, that image is everything. So you seeing Kanye with a fucking MAGA hat and him being all Republican like and him being all under Donald Trump like it's his damn daddy, talking about slavery was a choice and all that other yada bullshit, and him not being a reader of books and not being someone that will fact check his own fucking words. It looks bad. Matter of fact, it sounds like some cool shit when it comes out of Kanye. That's why I hate that. Because I don't feel like if you say slavery was a choice, that is anti-black. I really do not feel like. I feel like this is a conversation. Now, me saying slavery was a choice, do I feel like it lets white people off the hook? No. Fuck no, because they did it and we deserve our reparations. Because instead of doing shit on their own, they chose to enslave us. But I also said, and there is history. There are people that fought back. That's the thing I be telling people. Well, even like one of my man father, when we was having that conversation, because it was between me and Brandon, my father was like, there were tribes that fought back against the people that were enslaved. And this is what I was saying. Thank you. And I remember saying this, thank you, but that's what I'm saying. There were tribes that fought back. There were people that, they was trying to enslave, and they was like, no, they fought back. And some of the slaves fought to get the ships. Like, there is history on there where, people fought to get ships. Then, This is the part where I'm talking about where I need to be better at public speaking. But there were slaves that, not all of them made it to America. Some of them died, but some of them actually did fight back because they rather chose death over being an slave. And that's another reason why people don't like slavery as a choice, because your other choice is death. And sometimes, and a lot of Americans don't like that. It's just like most of them rather die. And honestly, this is what started it all, because I remember people was getting mad that Kanye said, and I remember Black Panther just came out too. And I said, those of y'all that are mad that Kanye said slavery was a choice are the same people that was quoting Killmonger's line in fucking Black Panther, which was bury me in my, and I'm paraphrasing because I probably butcher it. But the quote, anybody remember the quote from Killmonger in Black Panther was, bury me in the sea of my ancestors. I'd rather choose death over bondage. Listen to that again. Bury me in the sea of my ancestors. I'd rather choose death over bondage. And anybody remembers this fucking scene in Black Panther? T'Challa wasn't trying to kill him. He was saying, hey, you can come with us, help us build this fucking nation of Wakanda and all that shit. Killmonger was basically like, nah, I'ma die. And he chose death. And you know what's funny about that line? I was seeing people who love that movie, and they was quoting that. Everybody was quoting that. That's where the argument of slavery was a choice came from, because I was like, the same people who was getting mad at Kanye for saying slavery was a choice was probably the same people who was putting that Killmonger quote. And I was like, y'all don't, and the back of my head was, y'all don't understand what that quote really fucking meant. He said, there were some people that chose death over bondage. So yes, there was people that really did shit, and that was one of the arguments. Is like, it's definitely a choice, and I said yes. You know why death was really a choice, and I bring this up now. The Revolutionary War between the Americans and the British. Give me liberty or give me death. The people that are founding fathers of the country, and I don't try not to sound like a fucking conservative or right winger when I said this. Them niggas had to fight for this country. Yes, they used slaves too, but they just like, fuck that. I'm not being under British rules. We are our own fucking country, and we're gonna run our own shit. Fuck the British, and we're gonna die for our fucking beliefs just to run this country. That's why that war, and honest, and the whole thing of taxation without representation, and all that other shit. But honestly, that's why they fought that war. I said the Revolutionary War, if I'm saying the war right, between the war between the Americans and the British. I remember one of the biggest quotes is, give me liberty or give me death, which means we're going to fight this or I'm going to die trying. It's like, but I'm going to fight for our freedoms. There are documents that there was a couple of slaves that, before they come to America, there was a couple of them that did fought the people that tried to enslave them. There's a couple of them that won. There's a couple of them that threw white people over and tried to save other fucking slave ships from being enslaved. So yes, they chose to fight. And this is the part where I feel like Kanye missed the fucking boat. Because even Umar, I remember Umar, and he was mad at Kanye for saying slavery was a choice, but he was bringing up all this shit too. It was like about how some of the fucking people on their boat was fighting for their fucking freedom and was fighting for them not to be enslaved. To me, that is a choice not to be in slavery. And this is what I tell people. It's not an anti-black thing. It's actually, in my opinion, when you say slavery was a choice, it's pro-black. Because there was a lot of people, even through their history, there's a lot of black people who looked at slavery and said, this is not the way for us black people. And that's the point I was trying to make for even at the beginning of slavery, there was people that was just running away. That since the beginning of slavery, there was always people that was running away from the plantation because they did not want to be slaves on the plantation. One of Harriet Tubman's, and I might butcher this quote, but it goes along the lines of, I freed so many slaves, I could have freed so many more if them niggas didn't think they were slaves. I fucking butchered that, but y'all understand what that means. Is that a lot of the other people had the mindset that they didn't know they was enslaved. The one thing about those white people, and the reason why, because, people tell me, the Irish were slaves too. I said they wasn't slaves for that long. They were slaves for like 7 years, and they got them fucking freedom papers. A lot of fucking, whereas the black people, the shit was generational. Most people now, our black people, we still have grandparents that had grandparents that was in slavery, or great-grandparents that went through slavery. We still have ancestors that went through Jim Crow. We still, this period, matter of fact, there's people we have fathers and mothers that went through the bullshit in the 70s where motherfucking white people was just fucking with niggas because they were black. In the North and the South. It is America. The whole thing about having this argument about slavery was a choice, and the fact that Kanye said it, is that it's like, it could have been anybody else but Kanye. Anybody else. I said, this makes it look so fucking left-wing. And black people, we don't fuck with majority of black people do not fuck with Republicans. And majority of black people, they're going to look at Kanye and say slavery was a choice. And him with the MAGA hat. And him being under Donald Trump. And him saying all this shit about everything. And fucking Van Lathan. Van Lathan coming at him. And everything about that. I fucking hated it. Because it made my point, it made my point even harder to prove. And the fact that I hated the most, the fact that I hated it the most is that because he had that image, that a lot of people gonna think you're a coon or you're anti-black if you say slavery was a choice. And even when I say slavery was a choice, I don't think like black people just like, okay, we're just gonna go on the boat. Okay, we're just gonna be slaves. That was never my thought when I was having the whole slavery was a choice. Cause I know there was people that thought, but there was people who was just like, look, and you're like, I would probably run, cause there was people who was just like, if I could, as soon as I get out of these chains, I'm going to run for it. There was people like that. There was people that they kept us dumb. I understand that. That's the one thing that the white people knew. It's just like, if we give these niggas education, they gonna think they're better than us. And since they outnumber us like fucking 13-1, I don't know the actual numbers, but they damn sure it was just like a shitload of niggas in the plantation and like 4 or 5 white people. They knew if we give these niggas a book or education, they're going to fucking overpower us or some shit like that. So they kept us fucking dumb. And you know what they did? They killed the smart. Sometimes they killed the strong. They raped the strong. Especially in Jamaica. Y'all know about them buck breaking camps. So the fact that the whole thing about the slavery is a choice, I tell people all the time, I hate having this argument because I don't feel like it's a real argument to have. I will defend now, and I understand that if you're saying slavery is a choice, if you don't explain yourself, it sounds weird. What the fuck you mean slavery is a choice? What the fuck you sipping on that Kanye Kool-Aid shit, and now that everybody looking at slavery, slavery, when you said slavery was a choice, and I get it makes me cringe. Cause they always, you guess slavery was a choice, so you chose it. It's like, of course. And to me, it's just like, if people tell me, you should have chose that, right? Just like slavery was a choice. And I go, I know. And I'm a person and the thing is, I'm a person that take accountability of my actions. So even if I know that I'm going to do this, I chose to do this. It's just like, if I choose to work with the devil, that's my choice. I have to take accountability for that. I understand I got to take accountability for that. But every time when people want to mention that, slavery was a choice, right? And I said, I still believe in slavery was a choice. But what the fuck this guy got to do with it? I know what I chose. I'm taking accountability in my own actions. I chose that, so now I got to deal with it. I chose to do this. And that's what and here's the thing, life is about choices. And if you're the type of person that says life is about choices, you cannot, as a black man or a black woman, if you're a person that says life is about choices, you cannot get mad when people say slavery is a choice. If you believe that life is a bunch of choices. So this part, it's just that I feel like when Kanye said slavery was a choice, I feel like we just lost. In my opinion, I feel that we just lost a conversation that a lot of us probably should have because of fucking Kanye and his ignorance. Because as much of a genius that people claim to be, he's very ignorant on a lot of fucking things. Especially when he said, I don't like to read. I don't read. Or some shit like that. And then, and he'll talk about the brainwashing shit. And here's the thing about Kanye. When he learns something, and I said this before, when Kanye learns something, he's like a fucking kid. He's excited and, and you want to regurgitate that. But you're not regurgitating it to a point where it's intelligent. He could have, honestly, if he could have easily explained why he believes slavery was a choice. And the thing is, he did do it like because when Charlamagne called him up, he was like, why the fuck you said that? And he was talking about them, from a mind's point of view, in which that's where a lot of the white ancestors kept it. Like I said, when they kept us dumb. They didn't give us. It's like if you knew how to read as a black man back then, they'd have fucking killed you because it was like Frederick Douglass was a dangerous man. Anybody that knew how to read or write was a dangerous man because there's a bunch of knowledge in these books. Black people, they kept us dumb. It's one of those things where it's just like, it kept us dumb. And the fact that, and here's the thing why I do, when Kanye goes on stuff like this and the whole White Lives Matter shit and the whole thing that he bring, like, I believe in D.L. Hughley. He does stuff and it's very dangerous. Why? And my whole thing is, and I said this in like in a video about Candace Owens, I said, you had the perfect time to explain why the fuck you wore that shirt. And yet you danced around it and tried to put other things in there that didn't need to put in there. I already had a rant about this with the Candace Owens shit. That's my last video. Now I'm looking at this and I go, And it reminds me about the whole slavery was a choice thing, because that's what everybody's going to bring up, that he said slavery was a choice. And everybody, anytime when they think of Kanye and they think of slavery was a choice, black people get mad. Now I feel, and I honestly feel like when you hear that, you think of Kanye, and you think of the MAGA hat, and you think of, and it's just, and to me, I don't support Trump at all. As someone that don't support Trump at all, but do believe slavery was a choice, that fucks up. It makes my argument harder. Now the positive is I do get to explain. Now I feel like I'm in a position where I can explain it better, because I had to have this conversation. And now I feel like if someone does have this conversation with me, I feel like better. Like, even though I got my ass whipped in that debate with my mans, I still believe it, because there was parts of it where he was just proving my point. And there's a lot, even in that argument, he was proving I told him, you're still proving my point that slavery was a choice. You may not like the choices, but it's still a choice. And I told him, it was just like, white people chose us, the white people chose to put us in slavery. I said, yes, but it's also a situation. What you're not claiming, and then what you're bringing to me, it's not a choice. It's like white people coming up to you with a net and all this stuff. That is not a choice. That's a situation. And you ask me, in this situation, what do you do? Do you run, or do you fight, or I said, do you run? Do you fight, or do you give up and go into captives? Now, like I said, I know stories. I know there was tribes that fended off some of these white people. I know that there was some people. Hell, I know that there were some people who said, "Go to that tribe." Enslave those people. You want some real good nice niggas? Go to that tribe. I know. It's like there's a lot of stuff in the history that it does prove that slavery was a choice, but. I also know, like, me having this type of talk, it's like me having this type of talk. One, a lot of people, even if I don't think it's but one thing I gotta talk to them like it's not an anti-black thing. That's the first, and and just like I said, that's what Kanye made that obstacle hard. Because of Kanye, that obstacle is, all right, I'm going to talk to you, but when I'm coming from, it's not an anti-black rhetoric. It's like, I don't think, because I believe that us black people should get our reparations. And then I have to, not persuade, but I have to conjure my arguments around so it doesn't sound anti-black. Like us niggas just walked up on the ship 2 by 2 like Noah's fucking Ark. I have to, to me, I have to make sure when I explain my point, one, that it's understandable even to the regular Joe. Because if you speak too smart, a lot of shit is going to your head. But if you bring your point intelligent enough to where people can understand you and get past, and intelligent and more pro-black, not pro-black, but to make it not sound anti-black. So now like I said, it's a lot of obstacles. I gotta prove to you, because I gotta prove to you that I'm not anti-black when I say this, but also give you a precise argument and why do I think slavery is a choice. So I gotta do all that because when people hear slavery is a choice, you're gonna think of Kanye. You're gonna think of Kanye in a MAGA hat. You're gonna think of Kanye in a MAGA hat fucking hugging Trump. And I have to maneuver my point around that whole shit. Thank you, Kanye. Cause you done fucking made that argument harder. And this is why I tell people, I hated that Kanye fucking said that shit. I fucking hated it. That's what it goes through my mind every time when I hear slavery was a choice and everybody brings that up. And it's the first thing they brought up. Oh, you thought slavery was choice and all that shit. I was like, and it irks me so because look, as much as like I feel like I'm doing my best explaining this here, I had to get to this point. I really did. Like, I will link the debate of me and my friend arguing about this, and I look back on it, I still cringe to this day. I was like, fuck. It's like, I wish I had the evidence. It's like, I wish I had the knowledge I have now, but that's when you live and learn. I understand that's how you live and learn. But I was like, fuck. The one time like I said, the one thing I don't regret having an argument. I do regret not being prepared for it because we was talking about Avengers. The thing about that podcast, it was like two parts. We was talking about the Avengers and it was Endgame. That's what Thanos was snapping people out of existence. And we was talking about that movie and shit. It went from that to slavery is a choice. And the second part is, and why I like, and you can hear my frustrations into that because I was in school that time, and like when I was doing the podcast, and this was like pre-recorded, even though most of my journey is pre-recorded now, but it was pre-recorded in school, and we was all in a room, and we had this argument. And the one thing you gonna hear me at the end, I said, "Fuck, I ain't having." I was like, "We ain't got much time," because I had to bring the equipment back, and I wanted to, and it's just I was so adamant about winning that argument. Even though I had my points together, I wasn't prepared, but I did have my points enough to where I was just like, okay, I feel like I could go through it because we was going to have that. Like I said, we was going to have that talk. I didn't know it was going to be on the podcast, but we was going to have that talk. And and the thing is, it's just like at the end of that, me and him hugged it out. Because I did think it made good content on the episode. I still think is one of my top episodes. Even though I fucking sucked ass in that argument. I still thought it was great content. But I think even I said that. I fucking hate that Kanye said this shit. I really do. I don't know if y'all can hear it in my voice. To this day, I hate that Kanye said slavery was a choice. And that's going to be the title of this fucking rant. I hate that Kanye said slavery was a choice. But let me know what y'all think. Do y'all, because I know a lot of y'all still not going to like saying that slavery was a choice. I don't, like, if you don't think it's a choice or not, that's your opinion. I'm going to be honest with you. That's your opinion. It shouldn't be nothing. But I want to at least convince people, like, if I say slavery was a choice, it's not coming from an anti-black perspective. That's all, like, to me, it's all I can do. It's like, if I'm going to come with this argument, I got to come from it where it doesn't make me sound like a fucking coon or anti-black. Because I am for our people. I've always been for our people. And I do want reparations for us. I fucking, I've been getting on Joe Biden for the longest, and our people's just like, how many times that Joe Biden is in this fucking office and he's doing shit for everybody else, but not us. I've been on that fucking tirade for the longest. It's just like 80% of black men and 90% of black women, we voted this man in the office, and yet we haven't got shit yet from this nigga. As black people, I said, fuck everything else. And I even said, fuck what's happening in Ukraine. We need to get our shit first. We're the reasons you're in office. And I stand on that. We're the reasons. And black people, it's like, I want black people to just like, hey, Biden, man, fuck what's happening in Ukraine. We're the reasons you're in office. We need our shit. And I don't see black people doing that. And that, I mean, this is another rant in time, but I do want to say this right now, and I'm going to end this, and I'll end this. But I'm going to say this. Black people, we need to look at Biden and go, hey, 80% of black men put you in office. 90% of black women put you in office. What are you doing for our community? What are you doing for our community? You need to help. Fuck what's going on in Ukraine. Like, I'm sorry they have to go through this, but what about us? Mississippi fucking, like, Mississippi ain't got no, this parts of Mississippi ain't got no fucking drinking water. This parts, Flint, Michigan, it still ain't got no fucking drinkable water. Black people, like fucking gas is high. Fucking everything is high. And now you got black people going like, man, I probably should have voted for Trump. And I said this before, that is Joe Biden's one fucking job. Joe Biden's one fucking job is prove that he was better. I feel like I'm loud, even in this car. Y'all won't excuse me. But Joe Biden's one fucking job is just that I feel like I'm better than Trump. That's your whole job, is to be better than Trump. Now, the fact that you got people going, I should have voted for Trump, you don't failed your one fucking job. But this is this is how I feel about that. Let me know what y'all think. Look, I'm pretty sure none of y'all is still gonna say, okay, I see what you. I at least want to get to a point where y'all like, I see your point, and I'm glad you're coming. I'm glad you're coming from a point that's not anti-black. I want people to at least say that if you hear my point, it's like it's not coming from a coon perspective or an anti-black perspective. Because even in slavery history, it shows that there was people try to leave because they knew that they didn't have to be slaves. They could have, they could go somewhere else and be free. Like Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass and a bunch of other people, Nat Turner and them. Like, there's a bunch of people, hell, there's probably a bunch of other slave plantations that fought for their fucking freedom that we don't fucking know about. They don't tell us in history and some shit like that. There's probably so much of that shit that even maybe to a point where I don't even fucking know the story. But them niggas, they looked at the slavery and said, we not doing this shit. We not picking cotton for y'all no more. We're gonna have our freedoms. And that's where I want us to get to a point where it doesn't sound. My whole purpose is like, if I have this conversation, make it, get it to a point where it doesn't sound anti-black if you say it. That is my whole purpose now. Do I like having these conversations? No, because honestly, I feel like there's no need to have this fucking conversation. But if I could get to a point where it doesn't sound anti-black, I'm good. That's my goal. Not to convince you that slavery was a choice, but because you can have this choice that slavery wasn't a choice. I don't care about that. But I want you to at least, okay, it doesn't sound anti-black when you explain it. That's my whole new goal now for that. Let me know what y'all think. Till then, my name is Oskino Fly, and I'm out. Peace.